Okay, good morning, everyone. Glad you made it up early enough to check this out. Today, we're going to go over hip mobility, hip stability. And, in the future, if you ever have anything else that you want me to focus on, you could always drop me a line or drop Tina a line and make a suggestion. I like to talk about hips a lot because 98% of the people that walk into the facility here have issues with their hip. And they usually complain to me about their knee or their lower back or even their middle back. And 99.9% of the time, it's your hip or both hips causing the knee pain and the back pain. I know it sounds strange, but I had a pretty serious knee injury 4 years ago and had to have reconstructive surgery. And I remember throughout the rehab process, I would oftentimes experience tightness or pain in the knee. And I would go see my massage therapist during that period almost once a week. And every time I'd go in there and I'd say, my knee's killing me, Phil. He's always like, it's your hip, bro. So hips really can cause a lot of problems throughout the body, but in particular, lower back, the knee. So we're going to go over some things today that are going to definitely help with your hip mobility. So I always like to start simple and move to complex. So for those of you out there that have a difficult time being on your feet, we're going to start with some exercises in the chair. Then I'm going to progress to dynamic range of motion exercises we can do on our feet. And let me know if any of you out there can't do those. I can always give you some modifications to do in the chair. All right, so let's start off here. Hydration is really important as well. Okay, first things first. Okay. What we're going to focus on at the moment is what I call a power up. So I'm going to turn the chair to the side so you can see what's required of this. So what we're going to do is we're going to come forward in the chairs, okay? And then from here, we're going to retract our shoulder blades. We're going to push into the ground with our feet. We're going to come to a full standing position, okay? So we're just going to do 10 of those, all right? We're going to start off here. Like I said, moving simple to complex. All right, let's power up. Try to reach up nice and high. And down. Power up. And down. Notice how I'm bringing my hips back. My knees are pretty much staying over the ankle. Power up. 3. Power up. 4. Power up. 5, power up, 6, power up, 7, power up, 8, power up, 9, power up, 10. Okay, I forgot to do one thing. I recommend most of you, if you can, to take your shoes off on this. It's really important to feel the ground with your feet. I know some of you have neuropathy. That's obviously going to affect what you feel. But you got to remember, your feet provide a lot of feedback. They pretty much cover everything your eyes don't see. When you notice a change in surface, most of the time it's coming from your feet. When you notice how hard the surface is, that's your feet. So you don't ever want to lose that disconnect. All right, next thing we're going to focus on is our rock and our reach. So what we're going to do is we're going to shift our weight and reach. And now you notice I'm almost in this split squat or lunge position. This is very good for your hips, okay? And then we're going to rock and reach the other direction. Now you notice we're getting both movements on either side of the body or both hips. Okay, we're going to do 10 of those. All right, are you ready? Let's do it. Rock and reach, shift that weight. That's one. And see the transition between 90-90 on one side, and then 90-90 on the other side between the knees and the hips. That's 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. All right, good job. Okay, by now you should feel a little something in the hips. What you'll probably typically find is you move really well one direction, then you go the other direction, you're like, ah, it doesn't feel so good. That's pretty common. Typically, people put too much weight on one hip. That might be the hip that's very tight. And then the other hip you're not putting weight on won't be as tight, but it won't be as strong or stable. So the goal here is to get both hips mobile and both hips stable. All right, next thing we're going to work on is some trunk rotation. And of course, it relates to your hips as well, because you're going to start off in this scarecrow position. And look what happens. We're going right back into that 90-90 split. Twist, touch, and then shift the other way. Twist, touch, okay? That's 1. Twist and touch, 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. All right. Okay, take a deep breath. All right, next thing we're going to work on is our power step. Now, for those of you that are pretty mobile, this is going to be pretty low-level stuff. For some of you that are obviously having difficulty on your feet, this is an appropriate movement for you, okay? All right, so we're going to start off in that seated position. 90 in the knees, 90 in the hips. But what we're going to do is retract those shoulder blades in. So you don't want rounded shoulders. You want retracted shoulders. You want good posture where you're stacking your joints properly. Your head's lined up right over your cervical. You're not rounding your shoulders. And so basically when you're rounding shoulders, this is what it looks like versus here. And this is good for your spine. This is bad for your spine. So you always want to have good posture and you want to stack your joints properly. Okay, now we're going to go with power step. So retract those shoulder blades in, take a big step to your left, back to the middle, then a big step to your right, back to the middle. Okay, that's 1 full repetition. All right, let's go. Power step. That's 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. Keep those shoulder blades retracted. 8. 9. 10. Excellent. Okay, pause for just one moment. I'm having a little trouble here. Okay, better. All right, so what we're going to do now, we are going to flow everything together. So part of what these power moves are good for, obviously they're good for the hips. They're also really good for your brain because you have to learn to sequence things. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go through all those power moves, one movement of each, and we're going to stack them all together in a chain. All right. First thing we start off with is power up. Then we're going to power rock, power twist, then power step. Okay, that's one. Power up, power rock, power twist, power step. Okay, that's two. We're going to do 10 of these. Power up, power rock, power twist, power step. That's 3. Power up, power rock, power twist, power step. That's 4. Power up, power rock, power twist, power step. That's 5. Power up, power rock, power twist, power step. That's 6. Power up, power rock, power twist, power step. That's 7. Power up, power rock, power twist, power step. That's 8. Power up, power rock, power twist, power step. That's 9. We got one more. Power up, power rock, power twist, power step. And all right, good job. Okay, we got our hips nice and loose now. That was our entry level movement. Now we're going to go to more dynamic movement on our feet. Okay, let's get the chairs out of the way. Now, if you still need to stay in the chair, you can do a lot of what we're doing in the chair. We're going to do a forward march with a backward walk. Now, why are we going to do a backward walk? Think about that for a moment. Why would I have you walk backwards? Well, it makes a lot of sense. How often do people walk backwards? Almost never, about as often as they go laterally. As human beings, though, we need to be able to walk all different directions. And in order to go, I would say 360 degrees, whether it's backwards or laterally, you have to have functional hips. So that's why we're going to be doing that, okay? Excuse me, my allergies are still bad. Okay, so first thing we're going to focus on is a forward walk. Now I'm going to walk towards the camera so you see what I'm doing. We're going to go high knees. We're going to try to get the knees up toward the chest or the abdominal region. We're going to walk it forward. You notice you have to balance on one leg as you do this. Now, when we get to the end, we're going to walk backwards. Now, I'm going to show you from a side view because you do need to see what's happening here. Now, if you want to take a nice full stride when you walk backwards. Now, that's not to say you're supposed to walk beyond your natural range of motion. You want to keep your natural range of motion, but you want some hip extension here. This is what works those butt muscles. You got to make sure your butt muscles are working so your hips can provide stability for you, okay? All right, let's do about 4 passes of those. Coming forward, knee to chest. Notice I'm balancing on each leg independently as I do this. Now we're going to walk backwards. And forward. Okay, we're going to take 2 more passes. All right, 1 more pass here. Then walk it backwards. All right, go ahead and take a breather. Okay, for some of you, it's probably hard to get the leg up to the torso because 2 reasons. You might be tight in the hips. You also might have stability issues on one foot. Now, why is that important? I mean, when you walk, you literally have to put weight on one leg at some point. You have one foot on the ground and one in the air in some phase that you're walking, okay? That's why it's really important to be able to walk. I mean, to be able to shift weight, because you'll have difficulty walking if you simply cannot shift weight, okay? All right. Now, next thing we're going to work on is our lateral movement, because like I said, your butt muscles are 360-degree muscle. Now, I suppose this is a good time to talk about what is the difference between muscle function in the legs and hips, what distinguishes hip movement from just your typical forward movement. Okay, when you walk, you always have your hip working. The hip flexes, you strike your heel, you push off the balls of your feet. Well, throughout that whole entire phase, there's a synergy between the muscles in front of your legs, your quads, and your butt muscles and your hamstrings, which are the muscles behind the leg, that go all the way to the knee, okay? Those are important because they flex the knee and they also extend the hip. Those are 2 very important things, 2 very important concepts to remember. Okay, so what we're going to focus on is our lateral movement, and we want to utilize our butt and our hamstrings. Now, first way you go about this, and I'm going to show you from a side view at first. Actually, from a front view, then I'll move to a side view. So, you want to have your feet underneath your hips. Very important. You don't want to be extra wide with the feet. You also don't want to be stepping on your own feet either. So just feel where your hips are, and your feet should be beneath it. Now, once you know where your feet are, you don't need to stare at your feet. Why is that? Because if you stare at your feet the whole time, now my shoulders are rounding because my neck's rounding. So you always want to look in front of you. So you're going to have your feet underneath your hips, your butt back, knees over ankle, and you're just going to go side to side, just like that, okay? And then we're going to head back the other direction. Same thing, feet underneath the hips. Now, some of you are probably wondering, well, how low am I supposed to go? This is where I need to show you from the side view. Now, as you can see right now, I'm standing straight up. However, making sure my feet are underneath my hips, I'm going to keep my knees over my ankles, and I'm going to flex mostly in the hips. So that's my athletic stance. See how I'm flexed in the hips and I'm flexed in the knees. I'm going to get a little further out so you can see my relationship from my knees to my ankles, all right? Athletic stance. Now, this is the stance you need to be in if you're going to play any sport. Imagine the Warriors tip-off. Steph Curry doesn't stand like this before tip-off, right? This is the position he gets in because he's going to have to jump. All right, same thing in tennis. If you're waiting to receive a serve, it's this position right here. Same thing in baseball. Feet over hip, knees, feet under hips, knees over ankle, right? Same thing. That's called athletic stance, or what I call a hinge, hip hinge. So feet underneath the hips, knees over ankle. We're going to stay in this position. We're going to go side to side. Just like that. When you run out of real estate, we're going to come back the other direction. And as you can see, I'm maintaining my athletic stance here. I got knees bent, hips bent. Okay, we're going to go one more each direction. If you fatigue at some point, take a quick breather and then return. Pretty fatiguing to stay in this position. All right, check it out. So some of you may not have been in that position for a while. And I got to tell you, it's a lot different moving laterally in that position versus standing up straight and just kind of chugging along like this. But what is the advantage of being in that athletic position? Well, you can move explosively. You can turn quickly, different directions. You can jump if you need to. You could sprint from that position if you need to, okay? Not that I'm expecting people in here to sprint, but you get where I'm going with this. The other issue is you can stabilize your hips much better. Why is that important? Well, let's say you're walking down the street and kids are running or a dog's running and they're not paying attention to where they're going and you're afraid they're going to bump into you and knock you over. Well, if you can hinge your hips and push your feet into the ground, you can stabilize yourself. You can make yourself an immovable force getting in this position right here, okay? So that's your game saver right there. All right, now, what I'm going to do, we're going to move to a higher level of our power moves. We're going to go over those, and then I want to get on the mat, and we're going to go over some pretty basic stuff you can do on the floor for those of you that are willing to participate on the floor. Also, there's things I can show you on the floor that I think everyone can do. Even if you can't get on the floor, you can do in bed as well. All right, we're going to go with our power moves now standing. And first, I suppose I should show you from the side how this is supposed to look. So you want to have your feet under your hips. I know I've repeated that many times, but that is our default position. Okay, now once I know where my feet are, I want to stack my joints properly. I don't want to look down. So what we're going to do is bring that butt back like we're going to jump, and then we're just going to power up, just like that, okay? So butt back, push into the ground with your feet, power up. That's 2. 3, power up. 4, power up. 5, power up. 6, power up. 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Okay, the next thing we're going to work on is our rock and reach. Now, why is this important? Well, we got a weight shift. See how I'm picking my right foot up off the ground, reaching with my left arm. Conversely, on the other side, loading the right leg, bringing the right arm up, okay? Now, why is this important? You can't walk if you can't shift weight. If you're too afraid to pick one foot up off the ground because you feel like you're going to lose your balance and fall, then your balance is definitely compromised. And that's why this is a good exercise to work on to improve that. Now, let's say you're not really confident enough to completely shift weight. That's okay. Watch my feet. I'm leaving both feet on the ground and I'm rocking and reaching. So basically, I'm shifting my hips either direction. I'm lifting my heel on the off side, but I am maintaining some contact with the ground. So that's something you can do if you're not comfortable completely shifting your weight from one foot to the other, okay? All right, so work at your own level, what you can handle, and we're gonna do 10 of these. It's called rock and reach. You ready? Let's do it. Rock, reach, shift that weight, full extension, that's 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Excellent. Okay. Next thing we're going to work on, feet underneath the hips. Once again, we're going to rotate our spine. But as we do it, we twist and touch. Look how I'm pivoting my feet. See how I'm picking up my heel on the right side. And when I twist to the right, I'm picking my left heel up and twisting to the right. Okay? So look at my feet. You have to be able to pivot like this. Why am I teaching you this? Because I don't want you to try a full rotation with your feet facing forward. That's how you can actually do meniscus damage to your knees, okay? So you have to learn to pivot in life. You have to learn how to lift the heel and pivot the foot. See how I'm doing that? I'm going over this in detail because I don't want to hear a story about how somebody hurt their knee doing this today. All right? Okay, if you have any questions, be sure to ask me about that before we actually start. Okay, feet under hips, arms wide. We're going to twist, touch, twist, touch. That's 1. 2. Now come right back in the middle. You want that full openness. 3. We're doing 10 here. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. All right. That is twist and touch. So you get some trunk rotation, and you also get that pivot movement from the feet and the hips, okay? All right, now the next thing we're going to do is our power step. Now remember how earlier I mentioned that your butt muscles are 360-degree muscles? Well, you're going to see that right here. So I'm going to show you from the side, then I'll turn to the front. Again, feet underneath the hips. Knees over ankle, butt back. We're going to take a big step. See that? To the side and back. And then another big step. And again, using the butt muscles and the hamstrings. That's how you want to do this, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and face you while we do this. This is why it's very important to develop your butt muscles. Your quads, your thigh muscles. Pretty much what they do is extend the knee. A lot of people live through their quadriceps, meaning everything happens here. But for people that don't use their butt and hamstrings, they have a really difficult time turning laterally, okay? And this is how I can always tell somebody that has very poor glute development. When they walk, all you see is movement in the knees, like that. As opposed to movement in the hip, with full extension. And that's why people that have good posture, that are tall when they walk, have good butt muscles. People that tend to slouch in the shoulders and not have any arm movement when they walk, they're just using their quads. That's why it's really important to use and develop your butt muscles, okay? All right, we're gonna go feet underneath the hips. We're gonna knock out 10 of these, and then we're gonna flow them all together. Okay, knees over ankle, power step. That's 1. Power step. That's 2. Power step. 3. Power step. 4. Power step. 5. Power step. 6. Power step. 7. Power step. 8. Power step. 9. Power step. 10. Okay, that's the power move standing. Now what we're going to do is flow it all together because again, we test the brain, all right? Okay, feet underneath the hips. Power up. Power rock. Power twist, power step. Okay, that's one. We're going to do 9 more of those. You ready? Power up, power rock, power twist, power step. That's 2. Power up, power rock, power twist, power step. That's 3. Power up, power rock, power twist, power step. That's 4. Power up, power rock, power twist, power step. 5. Power up, power rock, power twist, power step. That's 6. Power up, power rock, power twist, power step. That's 7. Power up, power rock, power twist, power step. 8. Power up, power rock, power twist, power step. That's 9. Power up, power rock, power twist, power step. That's 10. Okay. You can hear my allergies or a little fast. Okay, so those are the power moves standing. What we really worked on was what I call an entry level hip mobility, hip stability exercises. And then we progressed it to a higher level on your feet, okay? Now what I want to transition to is I'm going to put the mats down. I'm going to show you some exercises that we can do on the mats. And also I'm going to show you a few isolation exercises, but I think it helps stabilize your hip as well. Because oftentimes there's a weakness in some small muscles that are affecting how your knees feel and how your hips feel, okay? All right, so if you have a mat at home, I strongly encourage you to get it. The other thing is make sure that you're going to be on a soft surface because we're going to do some crawling and things like that. And I don't want anyone having sore knees. Okay, I'm going to change the trajectory of the camera here. Give me just a moment. I just want to put this camera in full view. Put the mat in full view, excuse me, get the camera positioned properly. Excellent. Okay. All right, get a drink of water if you need to. We're going to work into our final phase here. All right.
Great class, Scott. I'm learning a lot.
Oh, great. I'm glad you like it. Okay, we're going to get on the ground here. And we're going to crawl, but I just realized something. A lot of you have tightness in your forearms and your wrists. So we're going to do a quick stretch here to loosen that up. So what you do is you just stretch the wrist and the forearm, minus the first finger and thumb, okay? Just like that. What we're going to do is we're doing a little bit of a nerve glide here of the ulnar nerve, which is going to help the wrist feel better under load. Now we're going to relax. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. You want a straight elbow. You're going to stretch the wrist and the forearm, minus the first finger and thumb. All right, so go ahead and move those wrists around. All right, so we're going to get on all fours. Now, the secret here is you're not trying to bear your whole entire body weight with your wrist. You want actually 60% of the weight to be on your hips and your legs, and maybe 40 or 35% on your upper body and your wrists, okay? All right, so what we're gonna start off doing, before we crawl, let's do a child's pose stretch. We're gonna rock back on those heels, push into the ground with the upper body, get a good stretch there. And now we're going to come forward into the dolphin. You're going to bring those hips towards the mat. You want your butt muscles tight, your glute muscles tight. And then rock back again in child's pose. Might get a little more range of motion on the second one. And then forward again into the dolphin. Once again, glutes tight. Okay, once more. Rock back on those heels, push into the ground. All right, that'll help loosen up things in the knees, the hips. Okay, next thing we're going to work on is just a simple crawl. We're going to crawl forward and then backwards. Now, if you notice, each limb between the legs and the arms are 180 degrees out of phase with each other. I hesitate to even tell you this because I don't want you to overthink it. When you overthink it, you tend to not move properly. So we're just going to do a few more of these, all right? Again, keep most of your weight on your hips. And then we're going to do another one going backwards here. Okay, so before we move forward with the next part, I'm going to turn on my side here now. A lot of you are having trouble with your hip. Maybe your knee hurts all the time. And good chance it's not even your knee. So I got to get one more little aid here. You can do this with a foam roller, or you can do this with a yoga block. Doesn't matter, whatever you're comfortable with, even a pillow will work. So we're going to get on our side. And the goal here is to go 90 degrees in the knees, 90 in the hip. Now, since I'm on my right side, I'm putting the pillow or the roller underneath my neck so I have neck support. But since I'm on my right side, I'm going to be working the left hip. Now, what we're going to do from there is engage those muscles in the hip, and we're just going to spread the leg apart and come back down. That's called a clamshell. And the reason why they call it a clamshell, if you've ever seen how a clam opens, it opens just like that. And that's what you're going to be doing with your legs, okay? So we're going to open up and down, open up and down. Let's do maybe 10 of these. That's 3. It should be a slow movement. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Now, what you do for one side, you should always try to do for the other. But now, typically, what you're going to find is one side is going to be a little bit easier than the other, or maybe a lot easier, depending on the state of your hips. Okay, same thing. 90 in the knees, 90 in the hips. We're going to lift that leg up and down. Now, one thing I should say, all you're doing is spreading those legs apart. You're not rocking your whole body. If you turn your whole body to do this, you're using your spine. You're not actually using your glute medius muscle, which is right here, okay? Let's try it. Up and down, that's 1. Notice my torso is completely straight. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, that's a clamshell. If this exercise gets easy, you can always put a band, a TheraBand around your legs, and that makes it hard. All right, I'm just going to go over one little thing briefly, then I want to open up things to questions, okay? All right, so the other thing you should be able to do, if you have, decent strength in your hamstrings, you should be able to go from all 4s. Notice my toes are splayed out here. and go to a half kneel position with stability. We'll be able to control it going down. Okay, let's try just 5 of those. We're going to power up, squeeze those shoulder blades in and down. Feel your hamstrings here. Power up, down, power up, and down. We're going to do one more. Power up, and then down. Okay, now, a lot of you will be able to do that. This next one might be difficult for a lot of you. So I'm going to show you from the side view, and then I'll show you from the front view. Okay, we're going to focus on that right hip. We're going to bring that leg out front. Again, you noticed this earlier in the, when we were in the chairs. We're going to go 90 in the knees, 90 in the hip. Now, if I'm not using my butt muscle, I'm going to fall forward. If I'm using my butt muscles and my hamstrings, I'm going to be nice and tall in this half kneel, okay? All right, let's just try about 5 of these. We're going to power up, retract your shoulder blades in and down. Power up. Now notice my knees over my ankle. If I'm in this position, I'm not going to be stable. This is stable. Okay, let's do 2 more. And 1 more. Just like that. Perfect. Okay, now we're going to go the other side. We'll show you kind of from a side angle. We're going to go left leg if you did your right and vice versa. Okay, we're going to power up. Remember, 90 degrees in the knees and hips, both sides. That's 1. Splay your toes on the down leg. So there's stability. Power up. Power up. Okay, we're going to go 1 more. And now here's the ultimate test of hip stability. If you can get into this half kneel position, 90-90, push off the back leg, push off the front leg, and rise, no problem. That is a great sign for your hip stability. Okay, I'm changing the camera angle. I want to open things up for questions now. Can we do that, Tina?
Yes.
Let's do it. Anyone have questions? No questions, really? Oh, there we go.
God.
Yes.
How much?
Okay, I see. What can I eat to improve? Okay, here we go. Let me look at the questions that were written, typed up here. What can I eat to improve hip health? You know, that's a good question. So the main issue that I think a lot of people have with their diet is we tend to eat foods that create inflammation. What am I talking about? Well, if you eat, say, too much pizza, and I don't mean just pizza, foods that are probably more in the carbohydrate realm than the protein and fat realm, they're going to create more inflammation in your body. And typically, people that are addicted to sugar, we see this very common. Those are people that are going to really create a lot of inflammation in the body. Now, you have to understand something. What is aging? Has anyone ever thought about what aging really is? And not just in the kind of contemptual sense, but really, what is it specifically? Think of it as fragmenting of your DNA. Your DNA is where all your genetic material is, okay? And what happens over time, your DNA becomes fragmented. We call that free radical damage. What causes free radical damage? Well, not enough exercise for 1, but 2, eating foods that lack nutrition and have too much sugar. What's the best example of that? Alcohol, right? Alcohol is pure sugar, has very little to no nutritive value at all. So I would suggest eating things that are the opposite of that reduce inflammation in the body. And I would say fish is a good example. avocado, things like that. Now I know what you're probably saying. Well, what if I want to lose weight? You probably shouldn't eat a lot of avocados, but you can eat salmon to your heart's content because that doesn't have as many calories. But having some avocado, having, fish oil, certain type of oils is really good at reducing inflammation in your body, and that's going to help your hip function in the long run. Okay, any other questions?
Hey, Scott, I just want to add, if you go to Key Market in their deli, they cook salmon and keep it in their deli. You just buy it and take it home and eat it.
That's good. One day I had salmon there. You know how they have for lunch, they have hot lunches there, and you just kind of, what is that called? Hors d'oeuvre? I mean, it's like an open salad bar and they have all the different type of foods there. Well, one day they had salmon and rice, and they also had lemon chicken and rice. And now they don't have that. They have the fried chicken. They have lasagna, which is fine. They have that every day now. So yeah, I'll definitely check out how good is the salmon?
Well, I think it's good. I buy it. I eat it like 2 or 3 times a week from there.
Oh, that's awesome.
I eat just a little piece, or I put it in a salad. They cook it and then they chill it. So when you get it, it's cold.
Yeah, I used to go to the farmer's market in Belmont, and there used to be a lady there that used to sell big blocks of fresh salmon for work, pre-cooked, and she either freeze them or chill them. And same thing, I would cut that up and put it in my food. All right, any other questions, anyone?
I have one question, and that was, I just wanted to see again while I'm looking forward, when you're down and you have one knee up and you go to stand.
Sure. You want me to do that again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just tell me what you're doing as you're doing it.
Okay, so I'll do the reverse and then I'll come up. So I got my left leg forward, right leg back. I got weight on both legs. My knees over my ankle, and I'm down. Now, if you look at the back leg, this is the crucial leg. So I'm going to turn this way so you can see things better. You have to have your ankle in alignment with your knee. If I know I'm exaggerating this, but if your foot is turned out or your lower leg is turned out to the side, you don't have the stability and you don't have the ability to use that back half of your body, your butt and hamstrings. Now, as you're coming up here, there's a lot of things that have to happen. Primarily, you have to be able to push into the ground with both feet. Forward leg, back leg, which means butt and hamstrings. Also, your core, your abs should be involved as well. So you don't want to have rounded shoulders here. You want to retract your shoulder blades. So as you push into the ground with the forward leg and the back leg, you engage your abs and you come up just like that. So that's a split squat. If you can do that, you are doing really well. That's a movement that's tough for most people. But if you get yourself to the point where your hamstrings and your butt muscles and your abs are strong enough to do that rather easily, you're in very good shape in terms of stability, for sure. Any other questions?
Are they going to have this tape on the site that we can go and use it?
I'm sorry, what was the question again? I didn't quite hear you.
They are recording today. Are they going to have this on the site, on Trovenad site, that we can go and you work with it?
Oh, you mean to view what was recorded today?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think
we will record it. We'll send it. We'll send it out, and actually, we can send an email on our YouTube channel and how to access the online videos again.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Great.
Hey, Tina, if you could send me a copy of that or a link to it, that would be great too.
Okay.
I'd like to put that on our channel as well.
Great.
I should have done that today. I didn't even think to do that.
Hey, everybody.
What's up, buddy?
Scott, what's happening?
Not much, man. I'm having a good hair day. Check it out.
Yeah, me too. I was going to heckle you and say, your sweats match the color of the carpet.
Yeah, I kind of blend in.
Got the same socks. All right. Thank you very much, Scott. Appreciate you filling in for Ruth, appreciate it, appreciate it, appreciate it.
No problem at all. Anytime.
Hey, Tina,
Yes.
can I get a second to say something to
Yes,
everybody
please,
before we go?
please. Yes, come people up, but go ahead, please.
The next class is from the city of Redwood City. They want to find out how people, how you communicate or how you receive your information about programs and activities and other things coming from the city. So please register for that class. It's coming up in 10 minutes.
Yeah, that'll be great. The Redwood City will get more feedback from you guys.
They want to hear what you want. So here's an opportunity.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Scott. Thanks everybody for joining.
Thanks, Scott.
A pleasure.
Bye-bye.
All right,
Bye-bye.
everyone, stay active.
That was good, Scott.
Thank you.